And because Kaizen means continuous improvement, that's our company goal and our goal for your sales department and dealership. Now, if you want to improve your sales skills, learn how to use psychology to close more car deals, and receive unbiased dealership vendor product and service reviews, make sure you subscribe and then turn on the bell so you never miss out on learning anything new.
Buy on emotion. We all said that 80% of the selling is done during the presentation and the demonstration phase. And so that's where all the emotions built up. That's where you want it. You do them, save your customer from themselves and help them buy the car by learning these closes so they can go ahead and take the car home, because all they're looking for is for somebody to logically justify it to them so they can walk out of here and feel good. Okay? Scenario. So you got what, a $500 payment, right?
Yep.
Okay, so $500 a month payment. And he was telling me that he's got basically the customers he was discussing. He said they run into issues with interest rate. I'm not paying that kind of a rate. But as I always say, you don't really pay a rate each month, you pay a monthly payment. So if once you get to the point where you feel that's fair for your situation, then I think you're going to be okay. If you're not going to be able to get them a better rate, they're not going to be able to get a better rate. I mean, I think over time, that's not that difficult. I gave him an analogy or an idea you could use, and that is just comparing it to physical damage insurance. So you just say, hey, look, I get it, Bill, that you don't want to pay that high of a rate, and I understand that. And if I was in your spot, I'd want to have the best rate for my situation as well. So I totally get that. However, let's just kind of look at it like physical damage insurance. So if you and your wife had been driving over the last year, and she got in maybe a couple wrecks, you got in a couple accidents, and then maybe, God forbid, you totaled a vehicle, what typically would the insurance company do to your rates? They'd raise them up, right? And then let's say though that you and your wife went 5, 6, 7 years accident free, and you didn't have any type of accidents, what would typically happen then? They'd probably lower them. Yeah. So it's kind of the same situation here. You've gotten a couple accidents with your credit. I mean, bad things do happen to good people, and from what I can hear, it sounds like the divorce really is what bogged you guys down. That was really the really center of the issue. And so the lender will be able to see that, hey, you had good credit, had poor credit, then, had some good credit again. So the point is that over time, maybe that rate can go down if you've proven that, you're paying the bills and that you're credit worthy, then the lenders will lower that rate. Yeah. So you overcome that payment, but I still can't afford the $500 payment. What payment you want to be at? $400? What were you thinking, sir? What were you trying to do?
400 sounds good.
400, you're trying to be closer to 400. All right, so here's the clue. Look, I get it, and what's your first name? I'm sorry. Rob, okay. So Rob, I get it that the payment's a little higher than you guys were wanting to. And if it doesn't make sense for you and your wife, I don't want you to do it. But since you're here, let's take another look at the figures, because two things are for sure when you leave here today. You're going to be leaving here in a car, and you're going to be leaving here in a payment. Now you're going to be leaving here in a car that you guys don't really like that much anymore, and a payment you do, or you're going to be leaving in a car you guys really like, and a payment, not so crazy about. So let's do this. Just bear with me. Let's pretend for a moment that you did purchase the car. Okay? So congratulations. Now let's also pretend for a moment too that you've actually paid the car off. It's actually the 72nd, it's actually the 73rd month, and the loan's been paid off. So congratulations again. Not everybody gets to that point, okay? So after 73 months of making that $500 payment to the bank, what piece of paper does the lender typically, actually by law, what piece of paper do they have to send you?
The title.
Title. And it's not just a title, right? It's a clear and free title. So it's a pretty good thing. That's the reason I congratulate you. Now, Rob, the original list of the vehicle was right at $42,000. That's not what you paid, but that was the original list. So here's the question. On the day you receive that clear title, what do you feel the value of that vehicle is going to be worth?
$25,000.
$25,000, okay. So if it is worth 25, and that, we'll use that figure. It could be worth a little more, could be worth a little bit less, but let's just use that. So if it is worth 25,000, that makes it a pretty valuable piece of paper, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you could borrow against it, you could trade it, or if you had an opportunity maybe to buy some Bitcoins at a real good deal, you could actually borrow against it and do that, or you could sell it. So you've got this valuable piece of asset, really. It's really an asset. So do me a favor, if you would. Let's take that $25,000 and divide it by the 72 months, would you? What's that come up to?
347.22.
347. Let's use that. And so then let's take the 500 and let's subtract the 347. All right, so what we've got here is actually 3 payments. So let's go through them together. So this first payment right here, this is what I call the total payment. And you're obviously very familiar with that because that's kind of been the little rub here, right? Is that payment. But within that payment, you've actually got two payments. So this payment right here, I call the usage payment. And that's just kind of the price of admission. That's what it costs you to drive the car. There are depreciable assets. So that's the part, kind of like rent, that you're not going to get back. However, this part right here, this $347, this part was flowing up into this asset right up here to this $25,000 each month. When you were making that $500 payment, $347 was flowing in here to create that asset. So this is what we call the residual payment. So I know you didn't want to spend a lot of money. However, I can tell you this, that when you take another look at these figures, I mean, yeah, you have $500 that is going out each month. However, you're retaining or you're getting back $300 and almost $50 each month to go back to that asset. So really the net payment's closer to about $150. I know it's a little more money you want to spend, but that's why you ought to get it. Because it's got everything you want on it, Rob. And because it's got everything you want on it, it's going to do two really big things for you. The first thing it's going to do is you and your wife are going to keep it a lot longer and enjoy it because it's got all the stuff you guys want. Now the second thing it's going to do is because you keep it longer, you'll spread that cost out over a longer period of time. And you know what happens when we spread cost out, right? It brings the price down. Plus, when you do go to sell it, trade it, it's going to be worth more because it's got all the good equipment. Let's get you out of here and let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Did you want to go ahead and title it Rob or Robert? Bam, and I'm going to keep going. So have you guys ever seen that one?
Mm-hmm. No.
Okay.
I haven't seen it broken down that way.
Okay, so it's called the residual payment close. Some people call it the piggy bank close. Some people call it the net payment close. It works really good when you're hundreds of dollars off on a payment.
You just missed exactly how we should
Payments,
close marriage.
trades, I mean, what are some other things?
Robert, you got me?
You want to see a couple trade closes? You see
Yeah.
a couple cool trade closes?
Absolutely.
I'll show you a cool one.
You know what I love about the beginning of that? You broke it with shaking their hand and congratulating.
Yes.
With the double
You
touch.
break it. You break it.
You
right?
gotta see me grin
So
on
this
both
is a
sides, right?
serious,
Like,
and then he smiles, and then okay, let's get back to it.
Also, subconsciously, what am I doing? He's a
You're already
fucking
doing
owner.
it. Yep.
He's an owner. So I like doing crazy stuff like that too. There's another close that a friend of mine taught me called the rental payment close. And it's like some goofy thing where you like pretend that I work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And what you're just trying to do is get people out of this, just get them out of this mode here. You know what I mean? Change it up a little. So let's say we're off on trade. So let's just make a number here. Let's say that we're showing 12 grand for a trade. And the customer wants to be at 14. So this one's called the relative to value close. And it works pretty cool. Again, it's kind of universal on any trade objection. However, you want it to be a decent discrepancy, and you lower the price sometimes the better. So it goes like this. So you can be my customer. So you tell me that you want 14. So say, hey man, I appreciate it, but I only need to get 14 grand for my car.
Man, we're close. Give me 14. Come up $2,000 and we can do this.
Okay.
Right there, but I gotta get 14. My
Why
wife
would you
will
go
me.
in?
Rob.
Making it easy for you. Tell my customer.
Yeah.
Rob,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Tell my customer. All right, so Rob, hey, I totally understand and appreciate the fact that you'd like to get $14,000 for your car. Based on my management team's research, the fair market value for your vehicle is actually $12,000. Now, it's going to be kind of difficult for us to get that kind of figure based on my management team's research. So what you're asking for is really another $2,000 more, or about another 16-17% more than fair market value. And that could kind of be problematic for me based on my management team's research. I mean, just imagine this. Just imagine that you've done quite a bit of research on a vehicle you want to buy, and you knew a fair price was right at $30,000. And then all of a sudden the dealership, they went ahead and wanted to charge you another 16% or another $5,000 for that vehicle. I mean, would you buy it for $35,000 when you know the fair market value should be closer to 30?
No, I wouldn't do that, but the problem I got here is the reason I want 14 so bad is I owe 13.5 and I don't want to roll any negative equity into this other vehicle.
Okay. No, I can appreciate that. And you know what? I mean, I totally understand that you want to get as much as you can for the trade. And I actually kind of thought the same way about vehicles, and then I got in the car business and I found out while the payoff and the trade, why they are related, they're not really connected like you might think. Let me show you a couple examples to explain. So let's say, for instance, that you had a payoff of, say, $5,000, and you had the vehicle professionally appraised for, say, $10,000. We'd still want the $5,000 or the $10,000 it's worth, right? I mean, it's like $5,000 in equity.
Right.
So if we went the other way and you owed $13,000 on it, I mean, the vehicle's still worth $10,000. Am I wrong? I mean, the fair market value for the vehicle is $12,000. So, you know, I know you want to get as much as you can, but we are giving you the fair market value for your vehicle. You know what? Why don't we just get this thing wrapped up and get you out of here so you can start enjoying the car? You're going to register it. Your name is Rob or Robert?
Robert.
Okay. So that's another one. At the end, when he said that to me, so when he hit me, but yeah, I owe 14 on it, then it's a nice wrap up because he was pausing and he said, he still said no, didn't he? He said no, he wouldn't buy the car for $35,000. So it works out really nice. And if he hadn't given me another objection, I would have just rolled him to close by going, and you know, I'm going to kind of run in the same reaction with my management team. If I ask them to pay you another 17% more than fair market value for a vehicle based on their research. So unless I'm missing something, this is the fair market value for the car.
So you're justifying it just with the exact facts and the
Exactly,
line.
just a
Right.
percentage.